Thank you for joining us on Nationwide today. I am Mina Daniels. At the regime, Nigeria was spending as much as 18.4 billion naira daily to sustain petrol subsidies, over 4 trillion naira in 2022 alone. Resources that could have been invested in roads, healthcare, education, housing, and critical infrastructure. Multiple exchange rate windows and forex arbitrage created massive distortions, with Nigeria losing more than 8 trillion naira over 3 years to rent-seeking and speculative practices. This is contained in President Bola Tinubu's statement as his administration marks 3 years in office. Details of the statement are presented from the studio.
In our midst, the President-elect,
President Bola Tinubu, Nigeria, heading with the sacred responsibility of leading the nation at a defining moment in history. He accepted that responsibility, fully aware of the magnitude of the challenges, but also deeply confident in the resilience and potential of the Nigerian people. Today, on the occasion of the third anniversary of his administration, he speaks not only as president, but also as a fellow citizen who understands the sacrifice many families have made in recent years and shares in their hopes for a better Nigeria. He acknowledges that when this administration assumed office, the nation faced profound economic and structural difficulties, mounting fiscal issues, unsustainable fuel subsidies, declining revenues, exchange rate distortions, rising debt service costs, in several parts of the country, energy supply constraints, and declining public confidence in institutions all threatened progress. He knows that the situation demanded urgent and courageous action, but difficult and necessary decisions had to be taken to stabilize the economy and prevent a deeper national crisis. Highlighting visible progress and economic growth, he notes that the economy is now more competitive and better positioned for sustainable growth than it was in 2023. Public finances are improving. States and local governments have greater resources to invest in their people. Investors' confidence is growing. The stock market is booming, with all share index rising from 53,000 and market capitalization of 30 trillion naira in 2023 to a record all share index of 200,000 and market capitalization of 160 trillion naira this year. Companies declaring profits and dividends. Infrastructures are advancing at an unprecedented scale. Over 2,700 kilometers of highways and major roads under construction, reconstruction, or rehabilitation. In the oil and gas sector, the reforms instituted have attracted billions of dollars in fresh investments from the international oil companies that had shunned the country. The $5 billion NLNG Train 7 project is nearing completion to boost LNG production capacity, exports, and dividends. For years, the power sectors suffered debts, underinvestments, and uncertainty, weakened generation capacity and limited growth. Today, the administration is confronting those challenges directly. Agriculture, education, and housing. Agricultural interventions have supported millions of farmers by improving seedling, fertilizers, and irrigation, and by expanding access to finance and markets and opening of new agricultural corridors to create jobs, strengthen chains, and reduce pressure on household income. The Nigerian Education Loan Fund has provided over 1.5 million students with access to higher education, disbursing more than 282 billion naira to ensure that students is denied access due to financial hardship. The renewed Hope Housing Program, along with that of the Federal Housing Authority, is delivering over 10,000 housing units across 14 states and the FCT, creating over 300,000 jobs and expanded access to stable housing. In health, thousands of primary healthcare centers are being revitalized while health insurance coverage is expanding for vulnerable Nigerians. On security and national unity, the president says security remains central to the creation of a viral and prosperous society. Armed forces and security agencies have intensified operations against terrorists, bandits, kidnappers, oil thieves, and criminal networks. While challenges remain, many communities and highways are becoming safer and more economically active. Looking forward, the president notes that the work ahead is enormous. He remains optimistic and wants all citizens to keep faith with Nigeria.
And as the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu marks 3 years in office, attention is turning to the scale of infrastructure development unfolding across the country. From highways, housing, energy and transportation projects, the federal government says its investments are aimed at laying a solid foundation for economic growth and national integration. Joseph Otsen reports on some of the signature projects spread across the nation's 6 geopolitical zones and what they mean for the administration's legacy.
From his inaugural address in 2023, President Bola acknowledged the harsh economic realities confronting Nigerians and pledged to take bold, difficult decisions aimed at rebuilding the nation's economy. Central to that promise were infrastructural renewal, economic reforms, and expanded social protection programs designed to improve the lives of Nigerians. Less than 3 years, major projects are taking shape across the country. Massive construction work is ongoing on several federal highways linking different parts of the country.
Issues with infrastructure, things that if we planned 47 years, 45 years back, and they couldn't do back upon that. I chose to use cement being produced in a concrete road so that I don't have to import bitumen and sand.
In the energy sector, Nigeria is also charting a course with targeted reforms and renewed investments in local refining capacity. The country is gradually reducing dependency on imported petroleum products. The revitalization of the Port Harcourt and refineries, alongside operations at the Dangote refineries, is reshaping the oil and gas landscape. Addressing Nigeria's housing deficit has also remained a priority. Under the Renew Hope Social Housing Program, plans are underway for the construction of 100,000 units in each of the 774 local government areas across the country. The healthcare sector has equally witnessed renewed attention, especially at the grassroots level. The distribution of comprehensive emergency, obstetric and newborn care equipment to all 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory is expected to strengthen maternal and child health care services nationwide.
Equipment is now being provided $100,000 per state and nearly 250 secondary facilities across 30 states.
Other sectors, including power and water resources, are also undergoing reforms aimed at improving efficiency, boosting productivity, and supporting long-term national development.
The goal here is to ensure that there's a total overhaul of the power sector, without which real progress cannot be made in terms of industrialization, which will ultimately lead to economic prosperity.
Though many of the programs were designed with long-term goals, signs of impact are already emerging, renewing optimism and strengthening hope for a better future for Nigeria.
Now, for 27 years, Nigeria has conducted successive elections. Each cycle, Guests and Good Morning Nigeria, is a testament to resilience, but never proof of perfection. They are emphatic that Nigerians at all levels must boldly interrogate democratic institutions and processes. Lydia Sampson has the report.
They are in agreement And democracy is no walk in the park. While much has been accomplished and achieved, yet cracks, dimples.
It's more of civilian rule than democracy, because democracy has certain attributes and tenets that must be respected by both the political class and the citizenry. In the case of Nigeria, we have seen so many things unfolded, and we are still seeing quite a lot unfolding.
27 years, we've had series of elections. Those elections may be challenged, but the intrinsic values of freedom are undeniable. The fact that people can choose whether they are bought, whether they are paid to vote, with all these that there's a learning curve that has come into democratizing.
Internal party dispute mechanism, they insist, has seen weak, breeding endless litigation that clog courts and destabilizes governance.
It is the visualization of democratic processes where they become stable and they become very effective. And that's where we are supposed to be going. If we achieve that, we will say that our democracy is becoming consolidated.
As politicians consistently resist reform, rendering media pressure largely ineffective, all three arms of government, the guest noted, must deliver on their ability. However, an allegedly compromised judiciary undermines the very foundation of democratic arbitration. Most alarming is the creeping one-party dominance, with every ruling party consolidating power, suffocating political pluralism. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA.
Nigeria's Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, SAN, has been formally installed as African champion of the African Development Bank's $7 billion Integrated Aviation Transformation Program for Africa, IATP. This was during the AFDB's annual meeting in Brazzaville, Congo. The African Development Bank applauded Nigeria's leadership and vision under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda and key policy reforms in aviation as major milestone for development. The IATP is a continent-wide platform designed to modernize the aviation ecosystem, mobilize private, institutional and concessional capital, and close the gap where Africa Airlines account for less than 3% of global air traffic, despite Africa holding nearly 18% of the world population. While at the dialogue in Brazzaville, in his new capacity as champion, unveiled President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda for aviation and highlighted Nigeria's newly approved aircraft leasing company as a model other African nations can replicate. The president of the African Development Bank, AFFB, pledges commitment to IATP's success across Africa, with Nigeria as a key focus. The ECOWAS Commission has taken a measure towards strengthening economic integration and private sector participation with a high-level working visit to the chairman of the ECOWAS Business Council, Aliko Dangote. The delegation was led by Commissioner of Economic Affairs and Agriculture, Dr. Kalilu Sila, alongside his counterpart Commissioner, Internal Services, Dr. Habib Haya Bapa, accompanied by Gerald Amoy Amangwa, Technical President of the Technical Working Group for the EBC. The visit focused on advancing the operationalization of the ECOWAS Business Council, a strategic platform designed to strengthen private sector participation in the implementation of the ECOWAS regional market and accelerate economic integration across West Africa. Let's head now to Lagos, where Hingino John Adams is standing by with the stories making the rounds from that park. It's over to you, Hingino.
The advent of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, among other gains of the present administration, remains a game changer for residents, institutions and business enterprises situated along the Ibeju-Lekki axis. Also serves a transformational project and catalyst for development and economic expansion. Amaka O reports on this and other legacy projects headed by President Bola Tinubu in the last 3 years.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration inherited a myriad of challenges and the need for more crucial infrastructure. Over the past 3 years, the administration has commissioned and inaugurated legacy projects in this area across the country. Lagos, one of the commercial hubs, some structures by the federal and state governments. They include the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, a major 700-kilometer modern coastal expressway designed to run along the country's Atlantic shoreline, linking Lagos to Star.
We were everyday social media, televisions, discussion, newspaper. There were complaints and complaints of roads, challenges, bridges that collapsed. But if we connect to ourselves, you will agree with me that not much is being complained about roads and bridges. The president has done tremendously, very, very well. Others
are the long-awarded Lagos-Ibadan Expressway project, the 37-kilometer rail line from Abado to Oyingbo, the new Okpebi-Ojota Link Bridge designed to ease traffic congestion and improve connectivity within the Ikeja-Okpebi axis of Lagos State, the rehabilitation of the third mainland bridge, and ongoing works at the Eko Bridge. Lagosians affirm that the government projects have far-reaching positive impacts on the citizenry and the economy.
It was harder to reach school, but with the advent of the coastal road, much easier for me.
In addition to the road infrastructure, along the ports corridor is the government's intervention to digitize and overhaul ports infrastructure. Worthy of note is the £740 million deals signed between Nigeria and the United Kingdom, an intervention to boost ports infrastructure which was part of the fallouts from the President Tinubu's visit to the UK.
We thank Mr. President for granting the opportunity for the modernization of the ports. Not only the western ports, we've done that of the eastern ports as well.
Other critical sectors include education, evident in the recent support for the extensive rehabilitation and upgrading of the Toulouse schools, a cluster of 36 schools located in Ajegunle within the Ajeromi Ifelodun local government area of Lagos.
Coming here, it actually to get myself acclimatized with the environment, like I'm more stable to teach.
The Lagos Geographic Information Center is another landmark support project from the federal government responsible for managing geospatial data, records and title registration to improve transparency, planning and ease of doing business. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA.
From Lagos, Nationwide will continue with Asma'u in Sokoto after the break.
Nigeria's race to development has taken in the hills and valleys of challenges and triumphs. How close is the destination of hope? The Nigerian Television Authority presents Turning the Corner, a series of documentaries chronicling the destination of states so far. Must watch the people's yearnings, tracking government's policies and charting territories rarely seen before. Join us as we unveil the in an unfolding nation, turning the corner, the plan, the destination, and everything in between.
In the beating heart of Owerri, business never sleeps. From sunrise to sundown, the wheels keep turning. And behind the scenes, vision meets action. Governor Hope Uzodimma's leadership has turned those into reality, transformations that feel like a miracle. But progress needs peace, and in Imo, it's not left to chance. From land to sky to river deep, Guardians are watching dreams and opportunity. At Orashi's quiet shore, hydropower is rising, set to energize a growing economy. The change is visible. New roads emerge, industry hums, communities come alive. At the center, a digital revolution 500,000 young minds trained each year to build the future. As Orashi rises, so does Imo and the hopes of the hard-working people. A new Imo is on the rise.
Unwrap joy, unleash taste.
A new edition of TV Guide is out, featuring an interesting personality with vast experience in the digital ecosystem. Professor Ibrahim Adeyanju, Managing Director and Chief Executive, Galaxy Backbone Limited, takes us through the gamut of revolutionizing the workspace through digitalization.
Galaxy started in 2006, started with pure VSAT technology, satellite technologies. We've been able to move from 2006 to providing fiber backbone, to having 2 data centers, to improving the bandwidth in terms of internet connectivity that we do to MDS. That is great progress.
Power, privilege and public trust with Comrade Salihu Abdul Hamid Dembos, Director General NTA. Welcome to a world of fun and excitement as we also present an professionals in the media space. Some compelling NTA programs, current trends in the fashion world, ICT, sports, entertainment, and TV Guide. Incisive, very educative and compelling. Get a copy at the vendor near you or NTA stations nationwide. TV Guide, indispensable companion.
The Needs Moms. With a splash of Golden Terra oil, a mom can transform a frown into a smile. Change no thanks into yes please. Resolve family feuds without blowing a whistle. Providing tasty family meals is all that matters. Where there are moms, there is love. Golden Terra oil, pour pure love.
Season, everything gets bigger. Mother's Day specials.
Name something you will probably never do if you haven't done already.
Going back to my ex.
Celebrity specials. All family, all across Nigeria. Catch Family Feud Nigeria Season 4 on. And for the first time ever, watch live on YouTube. Sponsor MTN in association with Golden Penny Nigeria.
Guys, food is ready.
Cook to impress.
Hello and thank you for joining us here in Sokoto on Nationwide. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidu Shuaibu, has charged the Nigerian Army to remain professional and committed to ongoing operations aimed at restoring lasting peace and security across the country. The Army gave the charge in a message to a special cellular luncheon with troops of 8th Division Nigerian Army and Sector 2 Joint Task Force Operation Fansanyama held in Sokoto State. Bashir Ibrahim reports.
The special cellular launching organized for troops of the 8th Nigerian Army and 2 Joint Task Force Operation Fansanyama brought together military commanders and personnel at the 4th operating base in the event formed part of the operational tour by the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu, represented, aimed at assessing security operations, boosting troops' morale, and identifying operational challenges in the Northwest Theater. He commended the troops for their courage, resilience, and sacrifice in the ongoing fight against banditry and other criminal activities. He reassured personnel of the Nigerian Army's commitment to troops' welfare, combat readiness, and professional development. Gallantry and dedication to duty will continue to attract recognition and reward.
This period to promote unity, peaceful coexistence, and compassion towards one another, irrespective of religious or ethnic affiliation.
The General Officer Communication and Secretary Joint Task Force Operation Pansayama, Major General Paul Kona, reaffirmed the determination of the troops to defend the nation against internal and external threats.
To the troops of A Division, this honor is well deserved. You have demonstrated exceptional courage and resilience across this theater of operation.
The launching further provided an opportunity for military commanders to interact with frontline personnel, strengthen unity, and renew commitment towards effective operations within their areas of responsibility. From Sokoto, Bashir Ibrahim Nawaba, NTA News.
Lawal of Zamfara State has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to strengthening community security through support for local vigilante groups and security outfits to protect lives and property. The governor stated this at Hagen Kanawa district during the commissioning of the Violence Response Unit established to improve safety in the area. Correspondent Muhammad reports.
Hagen Kanawa, a village in Kotarkoshe Emirate of Bungudu local government area of Zamfara State, has been repeatedly targeted by bandits, forcing many residents to flee to safer towns. This necessitated the establishment of a violence crime split in the area by the Nigeria Police Force and deployment of personnel and equipment to enhance rapid response and improve protection of lives and property. Commissioning the unit, Governor Dauda Lawal said security remains a top priority of his administration, assuring residents that government will continue to work with security agencies and communities to ensure peaceful coexistence across the state.
We are going to make sure we select certain people from among the community who haven't realized the challenge of manpower. They cannot be everywhere at every point in time, but you live with your community, and therefore we are going to support the community to make sure we bring this issue to an end, inshallah.
In their separate remarks, the Commissioner of Police in Zamfara State, the member representing the area in the Zamfara State House of Assembly, and the Emir of Kotorkoshi stressed the need for collective efforts in tackling insecurity and promoting peaceful living. They urge residents to remain vigilant and report suspicious movements and security threats to the authorities for prompt action. With this development and the security improvement being witnessed, hundreds of displaced persons have returned to the community, determined to cooperate with security agencies to achieve lasting peace. In Gusau, Halliru Muhammad, NTA News.
And that is our contribution. Sokoto Nationwide continues in our Abuja studios.
Very well, Asmao. Thank you very much. The National Commission of Nigeria, NACON, says it is blacklisting earnings of the National Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of NACON, Ambassador Alba Yusuf, said this shortly after a first-hand across some camps in Mina, Saudi Arabia. Bubakar Akwaga reports.
There have been growing concerns over poor timing in the delivery of meals to some pilgrims, and the chairman NACON, Ambassador Yusuf, undertook an assessment tour.
We've taken with the Saudi authorities. We are black caterer. We are also going to get refund of the unserved and served meals for the pilgrims. If we get the refund before they leave, we're going to give it to them individually. Or if we don't, before they leave, we'll hand it over to their secretaries.
He said no individual agency would be allowed to undermine the reforms already being implemented to reposition the Commission effective and efficient service delivery.
Talking directly with the Saudi authorities, they are going to recommend to us service providers, reputable ones, from whom we will choose. That way we eliminate agents. If we eliminate agents, we see a window and a possibility of bringing down the Hajj.
They mentioned the licensing of 5 operational clinics, deployment of highly resourceful medical personnel, and sensitization of pilgrims as top-notch initiatives. In another development, the Joint National Assembly Committee on Hajj, led by its chairman, thought of a strong legislative backing to end the unfair treatment against pilgrims.
I personally want to commend the chairman of the Hajj Commission for within this short time of his appointment has been able to put in this, and especially in the area. But there are areas of improvement, especially in the spacing. It's so tight. So we are looking forward to having a situation where it can be that. But let the pilgrims or Nigerians know that too. The challenge of this particular place, from my experience for the past years, is the fact restricted.
The committee commended NACON and pleaded with pilgrims to exercise patience as innovative and workable solutions are in the offing to improve services in the nearest future. From Mina, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
And in the spirit of Al-Adha, Muslims across the world gathered in mosques and open grounds to commemorate the deep meaning of sacrifice, obedience, and submission to the will of God. While the peak of the celebration has come and gone, what enduring lessons should Nigerians take this sacred occasion? Abdullahi Omar Ilalu has more.
Eid al-Adha celebrations were observed across Nigeria with a marathon out of us at major prayer grounds to observe the 2 Raka'at Eid prayer, which marked the beginning of the festival. After the prayers, animal sacrifices followed, in line with Islamic tradition, symbolizing Prophet Ibrahim's unwavering obedience to Almighty Allah when he was commanded to sacrifice his son. But beyond the slaughtering of animals and the exchange of greetings, religious leaders say the real message of Eid al-Adha lies deeper. They emphasize that sacrifice is not only about what is placed on the altar, but also about what individuals are willing to give up in their daily lives, including greed, corruption, hatred, injustice, and social vices that hinder national development.
All forms of worship are expected to be observed, but most specifically, you should try and do good to each and every, to humanity generally.
It is wind down. Eid al-Adha continues to stand as a powerful reminder that true sacrifice is not only about ritual practice, but about living a life of obedience, compassion, and selflessness for the good of all. Nigerians are expected to adopt these values, especially at a time when the nation continues to face social and economic challenges, noting that sacrifice at both personal and leadership levels is building a stronger society. From Sokoto to Lahomar, NTA News.
Still on reflections following Eid al-Adha at the State of the Caliphate with focus on the enduring lessons of sacrifice and devotion. Let's cross over to our correspondent, Nuruddin Abdullahi Adili.
Hello, Abuja. Welcome to NT Sokoto Network Center. Beyond even sacrifice, Muslims are expected to kind of have lessons and during the Salah of obedience to Almighty Allah and be kind to their neighbors, friends, and families. Here we are with the Abdullah Gulam to share more insights on the situation. What should Muslim learn after Eid al-Adha?
Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. There are a lot of lessons from Eid al-Adha. One most significant lesson to learn from that, the total submission to Allah's will, subhanahu wa ta'ala, which symbolized Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as contained in Surah Safat, verses 100 to 110, to now sacrifice his child, the only begotten child at that time, Ishmael. And when he so told his own child that this is the commandment of Allah, that he should go ahead and sacrifice him, the child told him Ya abatif alma tu'mar satajidni inshallah min as-sabirin. Oh my father, go ahead and accomplish the commandment which you have been given, for that you shall find me a patient person. So therefore, it is now show this verse shows us what? Shows us total submission to the wills and commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's number 2. Allah continued to tell us that وَفَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَ وَتَلَّهُ لِلْجَبِينِ وَنَادَاهُ أَن يَا إِبْرَاهِيمُ قَدْ صَدَّقْتَ الرُّؤْيَا إِنَّا كَذَلِكَ نَفْعَلُ بِالْمُحْسِنِينَ إِنَّا كَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ وَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذِبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ. When they all now submitted to the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah called him, "Oh Ibrahim, you've really, you've really fulfilled the mission of the vision that you saw." And we so ransomed the child with what? A very big slaughter. That apart, being after their own submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah brought a ram and replaced it with what? With Ibrahim alayhi salam. And he was so slaughtered for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you go back to Surah Al-Hajj, Allah told us that the flesh and the blood which gushes out from the animal of sacrifice is not the one that reaches Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the sincerity in the mind that Allah said you should do this and you did it. That is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala liked most. So after the Salah Adha, 3 days according to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ayyam at-tashriq ayyam akalun wa shurbin. These days of the 3 days after Salah are meant to be what? Days of festivities, to eat and drink out of it. You eat from the flesh, from the meat of what you have sacrificed. You go just like what you said. You now visit your relations. You now also show compassion. You now also show mercy. The poor, the needy that come to your house for a meat, or just for any assistance, you give out for that. You know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to reward you and replace with the good that is far better than this. Yes. So, apart from that, we also need to learn that as Muslims, we are supposed to be merciful to our brothers. We are supposed to be compassionate to our brothers. We are supposed to be patient in obeying the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala any given time.
Thank you very much for having us and giving us time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Abdullahi, for that enlightenment. Well, Makurdi Network Center is our next stopover, and Fatima Hassan is standing by. Hello, Fatima.
And thanks for joining us in Makurdi. Beyond its constitutional responsibility of safeguarding the nation's territorial integrity, the Nigerian Navy says it is committed to community development and humanitarian interventions that positively impact lives. Flag Officer Commanding Special Operations Command, Makurdi, Rear Admiral Olusegun Soyemi, reiterated this during the Community Children's Outreach to TVID Orphanage as part of activities commemorating the Nigerian Navy at 70. Blessing Omeche Ebute reports.
Part of activities to commemorate the Nigerian Navy at 70, commands and units across the country have organized various humanitarian events aimed at demonstrating compassion and strengthening ties with host communities. The Headquarters Special Operations Command Community Outreach Program at TVID Orphanage, which forms part of the Nigerian Navy's Civil-Military Cooperation Initiatives, witnessed the donation of food items, toiletries, educational materials, and disbursement of bursary allowance to some of the children.
I'm very much excited for the Nigerian Navy coming to come and take off this relief from our hearts. We are calling on well-meaning Nigerians to come to our aid at this time, because we really need this help as soon as possible. But sincerely, the occasion of the moment is what really gives me so much peace and joy. The coming of the Nigerian Navy.
Flag Officer Commanding Special Operations Command, Rear Admiral Olusegun Soyemi, represented Command Operation Officer Commodore Maxum Mohammed, emphasized that the gesture reflects the Navy's corporate social responsibility of giving back to its host community, which he said is critical to building strong civil-military relations.
Your circumstances do not define your potential. The Nigerian Navy sees you, and we want you to know that hard work, discipline, and education can open doors you never imagined.
The Headquarters Special Operations Command of the Nigerian Navy, recently established in Makurdi to strengthen internal security operations in the Middle Belt region, has continued to engage in activities aimed at fostering peaceful coexistence and enhancing community relations. In Makurdi, Blessing Omeche Ebute, NTA News.
To boost agricultural production in the state, timely application of farm inputs has been identified as one of the major drives towards boosting agricultural food productivity in the state. This is the submission of farmers as they intensify farming activities, awaiting the flag-off of sales of farm inputs by the Benue State government. Moses Ajao Odi has more.
Improving agricultural yield is said to require a combination of precision resources management, soil health enhancement, and targeted pest control. These, according to farmers, upgrade seed quality, enhance fertility, and prevent yield loss. They applauded the state governor for placing agriculture among the top priorities of with 50% subsidy on fertilizer function of office 3 years ago.
The Institute for Sustainable Agriculture, which is just new in the state, will focus on training the farmers. On the farmer side, we'll organize ourselves properly so that we'll maximize our potential.
Right now, most activities are data-driven. You know, when you ask them to generate the data for the real farmers, we hardly have a group for the real farmers. That is one of the things that I see is a challenge. And until maybe the government support us and we get good data of real farmers, then the inputs they are giving us can be transformed into a lot of productivity and a good yield.
Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, Benue State, Elijah Agweye, hinted that the government is determined to sustain the tempo of early fertilizer distribution to improve farm yield and make farming the most viable option for Benue people towards efficient food productivity.
By God's grace and for force of all the farms will be made agriculture
Benue, with the appellation Food Basket of the Nation, is known for producing over 15 major cash and staple crops, dominating agricultural landscapes. In Makurdi, Moses Ajao Udi.
And that's our contribution from Makurdi. Nationwide continues with Mina in Abuja. After this timeout, stay tuned.
Experts will on NTA Tuesday Live deliberate on Nigeria's drug war, the high-profile arrests, improved inter-agency collaboration, awareness campaigns, and the health burden of drugs, and more on the second. NTA Tuesday Live comes up every Tuesday. Incisive and educative. Don't miss it.
Vision College, widely recognized for its professionalism and excellence in media training, has achieved another significant milestone. In addition to its existing affiliation with Ahmadu Bello University Zaria for the award of a degree in mass communication, the college received official approval from the National Board for Technical Education, NBTE, to commence National Diploma, ND programs in mass communication and multimedia. Additional programs are also in progress. Admission requirements: a minimum of 5 O-level credit passes in relevant subjects. For National Diploma ND programs, minimum JAMB admissible score of 100. For degree programs, recommended JAMB score 180 and above. This is a great opportunity to become part of the college's growing legacy in media and broadcast education. For more information, visit our website at www.ntatvc.edu.ng or call these following numbers: 0803-838-4343, 0806-980-9897. Announcer Management.
Are you ready? Join us on Reshaping Democracy, a groundbreaking program on the network service of the NTA, where citizens get the chance to ask ministers, heads of ministerial departments, agencies, and other top government officials questions on their performance and delivery of mandates. With no sector of limits, conversations build around bridging gaps for feedback and effect
as our guests engage with the people they serve.
How does ND foster partnerships with organizations, government agencies, NGOs, among others?
As our leaders give account to citizens' inquiries on good governance, tune in to Reshaping Democracy, a creative concept coming up every Tuesday evening at 10:05 p.m.
This is Reshaping Democracy.
As the month of Dhul Hajj approaches, this is a special time to remember Allah and spend extra time in good deeds. This is a unique opportunity to sincerely repent, get closer to Allah, and combine acts of worship in a way that is impossible at any other time of the year. Furthermore, giving charity attracts great reward, especially in these first 10 days of Dhul Hajj. The world is facing global economic crisis with millions on brink of starvation. You can make a huge difference by supporting and sponsoring this year's Hadaya, sacrificial animal, to needy communities in our country. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "For every hair of the Hadaya, you receive a reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." Free Hafiz scholarship programs for youth is one of our development projects. With your support, we can build conviction in the heads of Muslims individuals and reunite as a community to benefit humanity. For us to actualize these noble initiatives, Non-Violent Peace Initiative account number 1771660076, Bank Polaris Bank, or Guaranteed Trust Bank account number 0457070109. Management Announcer.
Thanks for staying on and welcome back to Abuja. The Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NELFund, has dismissed as false and misleading reports circulating on social media alleging that the federal government has suspended the payment of keep allowances to beneficiaries of the student loan scheme. In a statement, the Director of Strategic Communications, Oshayemi Oluwatui, describes the publication as fabricated and aimed at creating panic, confusion and distrust among and the general public. According to NELFund, neither the federal government nor the agency has issued any directive concerning the suspension of upkeep allowance payments. The fund stresses that the viral newspaper cover being circulated online was not an authentic publication of the Nigerian Tribune and warns the public against relying on unverified information. The National Rescue Movement, NRM, elects first female presidential candidate, Esther Nkem Okereke, for the 2027 general election. She was elected through consensus, unanimous voice vote, and presented with a certificate of return and the party's flag at the presidential primary in Abuja. Okereke harnessed the country, make Nigeria a developmental hub in every strata of development. She says national reorientation will be hinged on unity and patriotism to build a stronger Nigeria. People's Movement, APM in Bayelsa State, has affirmed Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde as its presidential candidate for the 2027 general election. The party also confirmed its candidates for the Senate, House of Representatives and State House of Assembly elections during the exercise held in Yenagoa. Ebinimi Niola reports.
Delegates and members of People's Movement State converged to ratify the choices of the party ahead of the 2027 polls. The process covered the presidential ticket as well as national and state legislative positions.
Congratulations, our sole candidate, His Excellency Seyi Makinde. Thank you and God bless.
Party leaders described the exercise as peaceful, transparent and in line with APM's guidelines. They said the affirmation reflects consensus within the party and position it to contest effectively across all levels in Bayelsa State.
Use this medium to thank all APM Bayelsa faithful and our national chairman, His Excellency Yusuf Dantali, for giving us a privilege and platform to run in Bayelsa State. Our desire is to see that we win many seats in this election.
And so we are telling the entire world that this is a party, as we have Seyi Makinde as our presidential candidate adopted today in our primaries, and we want to stand with him and also to see that Nigeria is moved forward.
The APM says it will intensify grassroots mobilization and issue-based campaigns in the state as it seeks to expand its presence and offer voters an alternative platform in the 2027 elections. Ebinimi Zitemiola, NTA News.
Intensified efforts to improve emergency healthcare delivery in Nigeria with the inauguration of the National Emergency Medical Services and Ambulance NEMSAS alongside the Impact Project by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Abuja. The initiative, unveiled at the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare Federal State Complex, is designed to strengthen emergency response, particularly in rural areas, while also improving transportation systems in states with high burdens of maternal and neonatal mortality. Olushe Adeyabo reports.
For many Nigerians, particularly those in rural communities, access to emergency medical care remains a critical challenge. Inadequate ambulance services and limited pre-hospital care continue to contribute to preventable deaths across the country.
So this support provided by the World Bank Impact is to front-load these 15 states with assets.
Here it's not just an affair, but they're actually equipped to provide some emergency services to the woman on site along the way.
For the Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Isaac Salako, other stakeholders, intervention represents a bold national investment.
Further reaffirm your administration's commitment to building a resilient, people-centered health system that delivers hope, dignity, and care for all Nigerians.
Beyond the ceremony and commissioning, expectations remain high that the program will deliver accessible, efficient, and life-saving emergency services for millions of Nigerians. In Abuja, Oluseye Adeyabo, NTA.
Our sports update is next.
Here are some trending sports stories today. Nigeria and Jamaica go head-to-head for the 2026 Unity Cup title as the final is set for Saturday at the Valley, home of Charlton Athletic in London. The Super Eagles earned their spot with a 2-0 win over Zimbabwe in the first semi. On his senior debut, Millwall winger Femi Aziz bagged a brilliant brace. Jamaica, the Reggae Boys, followed by beating India 2-0 in the second semi. These two have a fierce rivalry. In the last year's edition, Nigeria held Jamaica 5-4 on penalties after a 2-2 draw. The four-team Unity Cup is also a key testing ground for coaches to try new players and tactics ahead of competitive matches. Switching to European football, after hosting the 2023 Europa League final, Hungary's capital Budapest gets the Champions League final for the first time at the Puskás Arena. The match kicks off Saturday, May 30, 2026, closing out the 71st session of Europe's elite club competition. holders PSG are chasing history to become the second team in the Champions League era to defend their title after Real Madrid. Now to the 2026 French Open, a massive shock. World number 1 Yannick Sinner is out in the second round. The favorite, seen as the most dominant on clay since Rafael Nadal in 2009, lost to the Argentines Juan Manuel Cerundolo in 5 sets under scorching Paris heat. Sinner led 2 sets to love and was up 5-1 in the third. Then a stunning turnaround as he looked sluggish and dejected, dropped 11 straight points, called for the trainer, and eventually fell 3-6, 2-6, 7-5, 6-1, 6-1. Cerundolo ranked 56th in the world. The French Open remains the only major missing from Sinner's 4 Grand Slam titles. And that does it for Sports Update. I am Eno.
And that's Nationwide. Enjoy your weekend. I am Mina Daniels.